Let me get off of mute. Hello, 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 everyone. Dr. Rowena Winkler here. And this is the New Moon and Gemini Insights video. To be fully transparent, I am recording this video ahead of time, but it will be launching live at its regularly scheduled time. I'm thinking maybe by now, I don't know, like a year later, I'm realizing that when full moons and new moons lie over the weekend, it's just really difficult for me to hop on live. There's just been several instances where, with family and I'm expecting this second baby. There's just too much going on with like a toddler and family and all the things happening on the weekend. So I'm recording this ahead of time. Also, this Gemini new moon is over Father's Day weekend. A lot going on in June, but suffice to say, the insights and the things that are coming through will be just as valuable. So no worries there. And of course, you can shoot me an email or a DM or anything of that nature. If you want a more personalized reading or an oracle card reading, feel free to let me know. So with all that said, let's talk through this new moon. And if you're interested to know what's happening outside of the new moon and full moon, and you want to learn more about just the astrological events happening each month, as always, I talk and plug my Intuitive Astrology Insights email. This is the link that is scrolling down below. I will put this in the show notes so that you don't have to type all those random letters. And in addition to that, if this is something you want to know more in detail with in terms of astrology, in terms of what it could mean in your particular chart, in order to gain access to all of the astrology based resources that I've been creating since the creation of my business, 3 years ago at this point. That's hard to believe. Feel free to sign up for my brand spanking new revamped Inner Muse membership. We're in the middle of the 1 year anniversary of this membership, but this is newly revised. Be a part of the new founding member group by clicking on the link in the show notes or hopping onto rowenawinkler.com/innermuse membership and use the discount code IMM to get 33% off your very first payment. Whew. Now that we got all of that logistical stuff out of the way, let's talk about Gemini and let's talk about this new moon. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Gemini is the planet of communication, of intellectualism, of curiosity. So as we reflect on this new moon, let's consider and think about how have my communication practices been lately, right? How's this summer, if you're on the on this part of the world like me on the East Coast? Like what is this season like for me in terms of my communication? How can I be better in terms of my communication? What are some ways that I can start anew with this new moon, right? New moon, new beginnings. What are some ways that I can enhance my communication so that I'm better understood, that I feel that I'm seen, that I feel that I'm heard, that I am speaking more authentically, that I'm speaking more from my authentic voice? And also, in addition to that, how can I give myself, the permission to be curious, right? Because oftentimes, I know, especially when it comes to being in communication in a relationship with others, whether that is our personal relationships or professional relationships, sometimes our communication can get a little wonky, right? And that's okay. It happens to the best of us, y'all. Like, I have a PhD in communication. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect at communication, right? There are definitely times where I'm like, ooh, shit, I should not have said it that way. So let's reflect and ponder and get curious, get innately curious on how can I be better at this thing called communication? Because obviously, as someone who has a doctorate in this field, I understand the value of communication. It is foundational to everything that we do. So by understanding what our communication styles are, how we can be more aligned with our communication styles, and perhaps what other folks' communication styles in our lives are and what their preferences are, and how we can, better align with that so that we're all on the same page. That's very, very, very helpful. And this curiosity, right? Approaching it from a curiosity lens enables us to give the space so that we can feel like we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to get it right. We can take a couple steps forward when it comes to communicating with folks and a couple steps back. And the other piece of this too is that sometimes, especially when it comes to folks in our lives, may not change. And even if we have the best intentions and we put our best foot forward and we do the best that we can in communication, not everyone's going to roll with it. Not everyone's going to receive it in the way that you anticipate and expect. So giving yourself the permission and grace to let that go is also just as important. And speaking of perfectionism, if this is something that you have personally been struggling with, right? I work with a lot of recovering perfectionists, especially as women. We have a lot of freaking things going on in our lives that we feel like we have to get exactly right. I encourage you and I invite you to join the Pushing Past Perfectionism Challenge that I'm running at the end of this month. So June 26th, 27th, and 28th, we will be doing, 3 days of videos. You'll get a PDF resource to help you out with that. Lots of resources. So if you just go to rowenawinkler.com, Pushing Past Perfectionism, I will put the link in the show notes. You will get a calendar. You'll be able to download a calendar onto your devices, onto your cals, so that you are notified. It's only 30 minutes for 3 days. You'll get to hang out with me, get some resources, learn how to approach perfectionism, push against it, and let's move forward from there. And speaking of which, for a lot of us perfectionist types, and especially when it comes to, Gemini being this planet of communication, let's consider, right, in this new moon environment, the power of our language, whether that is speaking in relationship to others, as I mentioned, and knowing, okay, this is not working out. I'm going to save my breath. Or, maybe there's another way that I can speak to this. And then most importantly, let's just say it. Let's put a pin on that. Most importantly, our self-talk, because a lot of what, happens out there in the external starts in the internal. So understanding the power of language, the power of the language in terms of your own self-talk and how you speak to yourself and how do you engage with that, inner saboteur that Mama RuPaul likes to call it, right? How do we speak to that saboteur in order to overcome these challenges and become our more authentically aligned selves, right? So understanding that what you say is so powerful. What you say is essentially, if you're witchy like me, that is a spell in and of itself. That is witchcraft and magic in the making, because what you say then becomes reality. So if you are speaking to yourself in a way that is not resonating, that is not in alignment for you, that is not what you think at all, but is conditions from society, from your parents, from everyone around you, from all the external shit happening, and it's not what you feel inside, that inner muse, as I talk about so frequently, if that is not what that inner muse is whispering to you, cultivate and call the homegirl out, right? Understand that power of language. This new moon in Gemini is the perfect opportunity to do that. Perhaps engaging in some journaling, in understanding, how am I speaking to myself? How can I reframe these stories and narratives that I'm telling myself? How can I take the challenges and the shit that I've been through in my life and reframe it in a way as lessons learned, right? What are the things that have happened in my space that I can contextualize in a way that enables me to alchemize it and use it as a way to move forward, right? Power of language. So, so crucial. What we say to ourselves and what we say to other people is so important. And as I mentioned, right, Gemini is the planet of communication, right? So not just the verbal, but also the intellect, right? The mental, how are we obtaining knowledge and information? As we reflect on this new moon, are there ways that you can obtain more information? Are there ways that you're obtaining information and knowledge in a way that may not be so much in alignment for you? Are you retaining information from communities and folks that no longer resonate with you? Take stock of that, because again, the new moon is an opportunity to start fresh. The new moon is an opportunity to go out and to consider, like, what is it that you still need to learn, right? And now that we're in June, we're halfway through the year, y'all. It is halfway through 2023. So if you're looking at your goals from the start of the year, what more needs to happen? What are you still putting on the back burner? What's holding you back? Is it that negative self-talk? Is it the talk and the expectations of all the folks around you? Is it that perfectionism piece? What do you need to learn? What do you still need to master? What do you still need to know in order to move forward, right? and it's taking inspired action steps, because we can ideate and think about this shit all day long. But in this new moon, as you reflect on these things and journal and think about it, right? How do we obtain knowledge and information? Like what's the inspired action steps? Like, do I need to talk to a specific person? You know, do I need to talk to Dr. Rowena to give me some insights, right? What are some resources? Who are some people? What are some communities? What are the mentors? What are the books? What are the things? And listen, I am totally, I'm also very, what was I going to say? Guilty. I'm very guilty of the procrastination. I Listen, y'all, I've been to school for many years. I love learning and I love school, but this is a reminder to myself as well. Like, at what point do we stop learning the shit and, like, going buying all the courses and buying all the books and what have you, and start doing? So let's think about how in this new moon we can take what we've learned, what we've absorbed, and put into action. Or is there particular resources or things that we still need to learn in order to put it into action? So what do you still need to know? But it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, right? Because Gemini, in addition to being this planet of communication, of intellectualism, Gemini is a very social planet, right? Gemini is all about, like, socializing and fun and building community and, like, having a good time. So, like, what are some ways that we can still have fun? Is there ways that we can gamify our learning? For example, just very Gemini, actually. I finally signed up for, my family we signed up for the local library now that we've been in our new neighborhood, our new county for 7 months now, which is hard to believe in and of itself that we've been in this new house for that long. But we signed up for the local library and we're doing a summer reading challenge, right? And it's fun because, listen, y'all, I'm a competitive spirit. So I'm like, yes, I'm going to, like, beat this challenge and read these kinds of books. So find ways, find opportunities to do that. Have fun with yourself. Don't take it too seriously. If you're like, oh shit, I need to learn how to do XYZ for my business. Okay, well, find a course, find a coach, find a teacher, find a class, find some friends. Going back to the libraries and reading thing, I joined a book club last year and that was so helpful because I was able to hit these goals of wanting to read more while having fun. So find your people, man. Like, find your community. It's a great time to socialize and find the folks that are in alignment with you in terms of your learning goals and whatnot. And that enables you to have accountability as well. And that's really, really powerful because when you're doing shit in isolation, as I'm sure we all know, it's so hard to retain habits when there's no one that's really keeping us accountable. I mean, gosh, even though I have contractors and folks that are helping me with the aspects of my business, I'm still very much a solopreneur. And a lot of it, right, is on me. And of course, with me, I can, like, push it, I can, like, move deadlines and crap, right? But having folks that are accountable, whether that's a mastermind group or fellow entrepreneur friends or fellow friends, right, that can keep you up to task, that really makes such a difference, right? Like, make your own syllabus as someone who is a higher ed, as a teacher as well. Alrighty. So that was the gist, right, of this. And for our card pool today, I thought in alignment with everything I spoke to today, we're going to pull an affirmation. Whoop. By the Mindful Collective, I felt affirmations, right? Because affirmations are essentially the power of that language piece that I talked about. And having an affirmation to guide us in this new moon can give us a sense of what is the new start? What is the new beginning? How can we affirm what we need and what we want through the power of this language? And listen, y'all, I'm a realist as well, because I've been doing affirmations for a hot minute. And I know that, just speaking it into existence is not going to make it happen. There is work that goes into it as well, right? There's an energetics that goes into it. There's, again, opening yourself up to opportunities. It's being willing to change. It's being willing to be uncomfortable. And as I mentioned, it's pushing past that perfectionism and having an innate curiosity about what is it we're here to do, right? Having fun and understanding that our time here in our meat suits on this planet is like a blip in the entire scope of all the things. So what are some ways that we can use our time here on this planet at its max potential? Oops, and do what we need to do. Wow, I guess I had a bunch. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I like almost knocked over my desk and a bunch of cards fell out. So let's see what we got. How funny would it have been if my whole desk toppled over? That would have been wild. Talk about a new beginning. All right. I'm like flipping tables now. That's how important this stuff is, y'all. Well, we got 2 cards, so I guess we're getting 2 affirmations for today. Oh, I love these. Okay, so the first one is attract. Be the very thing, the very essence, the very core of what it is your heart desires. Be this, my love, and watch it come so effortlessly to you. Okay. And then the second one, I've definitely pulled this card before for myself, and I feel like for my community too. It's the flow, right? This state has been calling to you for some time now. You know it well. Your body craves it. Your heart cries out for it. The state in which the body and the heart and the mind dance together as one. The state in which everything is easeful, where creating and doing and being come naturally. This is your permission slip to lean into it. Go ahead, take a deep breath in, and release any lingering ties to the outcome. Open the space within you that allows for flow to be. So, with the power of our thoughts, with the power of our language, with the power of the Gemini new moon, let us attract, what our heart desires, what our soul desires, what feels good to us, but allowing that flow, right? Allowing the space to not feel like we have to get it done right away, but let it come at its natural time and space and energy, right? I feel like that those are very powerful messages. And so much so that I almost knocked over my desk to do that. uh, but anywho, I hope that you have a wonderful new moon in Gemini. For you and yours that are celebrating Father's Day, happy Father's Day to those folks. I hope that you'll join us for the Pushing Past Perfectionism challenge that is coming up at the end of the month. And if you were so inclined to dig even deeper into all this fun astrology stuffs, feel free to join the revamped Inner Muse membership using the links below and get that 33% off to be a part of the version 2, round 2 founding members group. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see each other next month or at the next event. Alrighty, take care, y'all.